feel their thunder.
Yeah, Radhe bhai. This is Shyam, your with Rahul bhai.
Radhe Radhe, good morning.
Welcome you all to the session of Bhagavad Gita today. Over to you, bhai.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We will continue on our journey of soul and explore some more facets on it, especially around the different sharir. This topic always evokes a lot of discussion and questions, right? Subtle body, causal body, what happens to each kind of body. That is what we are going to spend a little bit of time. And then we have a very powerful lecture from Swamiji coming up as well. We do have a hard stop at 10 today, so we'll try to pace it accordingly. So welcome, Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Let's get started with our opening prayers by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Share my screen. I should be sharing my screen more than anything else. All right. Okay, let's get started then. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, welcome again everyone, a very warm welcome. So let's get started. Today I picked up, I'll get into that. So quick recap. Chapter 1, we did it in a fast track mode where Arjun's has built his business case as to why he does not want to fight the war. He's extremely disturbed and the Gandhi, the bow that he has is also slipping from his hand. And he's now in the chapter 2, now that he's expressed his inability to cope with his current situation because he sees his relatives, elders, teachers around, and his mind is refusing to take part in such a battle. And he's asking Krishna, he's taken refuge under the knowledge of Lord Krishna. He's asking him that please guide me. And Lord has started guiding him. This is Sankhya Yoga, where he's first telling him the nature, the immortal nature of the soul. That is the concept that we are discussing, which is eternal and imperishable. Continuing with that, let's pick up a shloka that is going to explain this cycle. Soul itself, manifest, unmanifest, manifest, and unmanifest cycle that we are all subject to. If it is soul, does soul has a form? We assume this body, then only we have a form, right? So let's see what Lord Krishna is talking about this concept. So I've picked up this shloka. This is where we're going to spend a little bit of time today. I'm going to recite it. You're welcome to follow along. We'll probably pick 5 hands and then move along. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Right, do we have any volunteers?
We have hands.
Okay.
Govind, Radhe Radhe.
Hey, Govind. Radhe Radhe. Nice name. Please go ahead.
Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana.
Thank you. Radhe Hey, Govind ji, Radhe Radhe.
Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, everybody, namaskar. Avyakta adini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. Thank you.
Very nice. Good. Always good to hear you, Nitinji. All right, let's take a few more hands.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Sandhya.
Avyaktaadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana.
Wonderful, very nice. Sandhya. Okay, we can take a few more hands. Let's quickly do that. We
Anita
have
ji,
some
Radhe
content
Radhe.
to cover and we have a hard stop, we have a presentation, so we'll try to cover. Radhe Radhe.
व्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तानि धनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना.
Wonderful, Anita ji. Very nice recitation. And I would encourage all the participants to do it. You can try to lip sync with it. It is very auspicious. Just to
I had for a couple of months, so I could not able to recite. And I also wanted to shorten the participant number. Hope I can shorten it meanwhile. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, let's pick up maybe 2 more hands.
Aksha ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktani dhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Radhe
Wonderful.
Radhe.
We'll pick up one more hand and then we'll get started. We have content to cover, we have a lecture, and then we have a presentation and hard stop. So let's try to do as best as we can. Maybe one more hand.
Uday Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Lakshmi ji has chance as well because she has put on video.
Bhutani
Vyaktadini.
vyaktamadhyani bharata.
Okay, Uday Kumar ji, please go ahead. If you are,
Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
is it Akshata ji who is doing that?
Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidananyeva tatra ka paridevana.
Akshata ji, will you get a chance or were you reciting and it got interrupted in between?
I guess not. Something went wrong.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, last one, Lakshmi ji, because you turned your video on. Let's quickly do that and then proceed.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktani dhananyeva tatra ka paridevana.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And for rest of you, sorry about that. Today we have content to cover, so we'll continue. Tomorrow you can get a chance. Riya ji, Surendra ji, Pragi ji, and Rajeshwari ji. Let's continue. So in this, Lord Krishna is saying, "O Scion of Bharat, all created beings are unmanifest before birth. They manifest in life and again unmanifest on death. So why grieve?" Okay. So why this is the concept we have been talking about, why we should not grieve. Let's look at death in perspective. Let's try to appreciate our true identity, who we are, and also the relationships that we have around us as well. Okay, what is their true nature and how to see this whole thing in perspective. So let's continue. So spiritual anatomy, let's revisit that. This topic fascinates a lot of people and a lot of questions keep coming up on this as well. So hopefully we are going to lay these questions to rest once and for all. Okay, at least for today. So let's get started on this. This is who we are. Soul, I, not the body, the Atma, which is energized by Paramatma. Okay. So you might have studied anatomy in biology, but we are going to talk about the real anatomy here. Now, the gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and I've repeated earth, so it's sky instead of earth. Twice earth has come, that's a typo. So Jyoti, you can make note, don't put earth twice. Okay, because I made a mistake. So yes, it's sky, water, fire, air, and earth. These are the Panch Mahabhut. These Panch Mahabhut comes from Panch Tanmatra. The Panch Tanmatras, they come from Ahamkar Tattva. The Ahamkar Tattva comes from Mahan Tattva. The Mahan Tattva comes from Prakriti Tattva, and Prakriti is energized just by a glance of God. That is how it works, this entire hierarchy. So anyway, our gross body is insentient. It is made up of these Panch Mahabhut. And when our body is disposed of, regardless of which tradition we follow, each element is returned back to its respective place. Now let's look at the baggage. Subtle body. Right? This is the body that basically is an interesting one. It consists of 18 elements. Okay, what are those? 5 life airs, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge senses, mind, intellect, and ego. Point here to be noted is all are material. If somebody says they are divine, that is not correct. Everything is material here. They are made up of Prakriti, Maya, the Gunatmak Maya, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay, when God gives us an upgrade at the time of God realization, or like he gave an upgrade to Arjun through those Divya Chakshu, then this becomes divine, or it gets upgraded. But until then, they are all prakritik, they are all material. And because our mind is material, it has a sajatiya or same companion relationship with the mic world. It gravitates towards material things very naturally, right? When you have to listen to some gossip or something that is happening, which latest movie has come, your mind will immediately get pulled because it is material, and because material things they give it the natural mellow or the rasa to it. So it is material. So this subtle body is of 18 elements which reside in our subtle body in the sukshma form, although they are material. And this is our baggage that we carry from lifetime to lifetime. I'll talk about this concept a little more in detail. Then the causal body. Causal body is the account of the karmas from endless past lives, including the sanskars or the tendencies that you see carried forward from previous lives. So two kids born in the same family, groomed the same way, have different propensities. How would you explain that? You can't explain it. Somebody who's born gifted, somebody has a natural tendency towards something. How do you explain that? There's no way to explain that. So common sense will make you believe what our scriptures are telling us, right? Which people reject very conveniently. So many people, they want to reject this concept of reincarnation because it's very convenient for them to think there is only one life. So there's no accountability. No matter what you do, enjoy life like an ice cream and move on. Okay. That is Charvak or Bhautikvad philosophy. No, unfortunately, that's not the case. There are no free lunches, and no action, no desire, no karma comes without a cost associated with it. So be very careful. If you're doing something, are you willing to pay the cost for it? And if the answer is yes, go for it. And if you think no, you want to understand the higher principle, because that cost may not be tolerable for me, or I will not accept that as a cost, or this is not a fair trade-off, then understand the higher principles and try to align to that. That is what our scriptures are telling us as well. So the causal body is the cause for our rebirth. Okay. I'll get back to the concept if the question that people will be having, what happens to subtle body, causal body, which one we take along with that, what happens during pralay, all that stuff we'll tackle. So don't worry, just be patient with me today. So at the time of death, the soul discards its gross body. That we know. It has to discard. If it doesn't want to discard, Yamaraj will make sure you discard it. Okay, willingly, unwillingly, however it is. So as sure as that, there are only two things which are sure in this world, right? As the saying goes, death and taxes. Nobody can avoid them. So time of death, the soul discards its gross body. However, it departs along with the subtle and causal bodies. These bodies are clung to the soul like a backpack. Nobody can go to school without that backpack. Similarly, these two bodies accompany the soul. It's a baggage it has to carry because it is created by soul only. Now, it is just like when you get on a plane. When you get on a plane, Water is not allowed. Liquid beyond a certain quantity is not allowed. They will make you throw it. Similarly, when we die, we can't take anything along with us. So even if you have, earned a lot of precious gems, money and all that stuff, and you think I'll stuff it in my pocket and take it along with me in the next loka or next life, that's not going to happen. There's a Sufi saying, it says that इस दुनिया में क्या कमाया, क्या हीरे, क्या मोती, but क्या करो, कफन में जेब नहीं होती. क्या करें यारो, कफन में जेब नहीं होती. So point is that nothing gets carried forward other than your tendencies, your karmas, and the spiritual assets that you have built. So that is why it is said, in the material world, we value a lot of external stuff. The external adornments matters a lot. How do you look? What kind of things you are wearing, what kind of designation you carry, what kind of car you drive, what kind of clothes you are wearing, what kind of perfume you have tapped into, itra. But in the realm of God, the inner decorations matter. How much humility you have, how much let go you have understood, how much you have worked on your anger, how much compassion or forbearance you have developed, how much love you have developed for God. This is called spiritual wealth, and that is what matters, and that is what gets carried over from lifetime to lifetime. So which wealth, if you're really interested in becoming wealthy and carrying it forward in our life, then we need to work on these bodies, not this external body that you have to reject anyway. It's a rental given to us for a short period of time, and it is snatched away from us after a while, and it anyway becomes useless after a while. Yesterday Swamiji explained that definition of sharir, right, which is deteriorating every minute. You won't realize it, but it is deteriorating every minute. Those rats are nibbling it away, right? Black and white rats, day and night. They are gradually pushing you towards the final destination. Now, the point here is God gives the soul another gross body according to its subtle and causal bodies, and sends the soul into a suitable mother's womb for the purpose. We will see that suitable mother womb, okay, in the video as well. Just in case you are predisposed to thinking it is going to be a mother's womb like our mom, right? We will look at that video to put that in perspective. Now, after the soul gives up the one gross body, there is a transitional phase before it receives a new gross body. This could be a few seconds in duration or a few years long. We cannot demand that God, I am feeling uncomfortable without a body. Can you please give it to me quickly? No. In fact, it is said that the existence without a body is usually very miserable for a soul. You want to do it, but you don't have a means to do it or experience, clearly go through that. And there is a Pret Yoni also, Bhoot Pret, like ghosts we have heard about, they actually exist. Who gets Pret Yoni? Pret Yoni is given to people who reject this body. It is a design of the God to give us this gross body. But if you become an escapist and you become so you don't have deeper understanding of this concept, and people do take those extreme steps of ending their lives, then as a punishment, because if they are spiritual laws, which are perfect laws, they're not whimsical, then you may wander around in a Pret Yoni to understand how miserable that is. Okay, that is where the Pret Yoni or ghosts and all that stuff happens. However, these movies that they show you that they can possess you and stuff like that, I mean, it's not just so easy for anybody to possess you, kind of a deal. There's a story of Maharaj Ji says that there were some ghosts. They would come to somebody's house and play around in their bathroom, make noises and stuff like that. Sometimes they get powerful and to do those kind of things, but possessing somebody is an extreme case. Okay, so they started doing that. Then Maharaj Ji said, what is this natak going on? Okay, why are you doing all this jokery? Now that you are in this yoni, why don't you get your friends and family around in the forest where you come from and start doing Radhe Radhe, earn some paramarth for your next life. So it is said, as the saying legend goes, he taught them Radhe Radhe, and then they started forming their Pret Satsang as well. Okay, but anyways, you don't have to believe it right now. In due course of time, you'll say, yeah, that is the right one. I've heard this story. So the point here is, it exists. Our soul can go without a gross body, but that is not a desired state to be in. Okay? Now the transition could happen, we don't know. And back-to-back human life is not guaranteed. I asked this question to Swamiji, is there a formula for a back-to-back human life? And he said he had asked this to Swamiji as well, and Maharajji as well. And he said, if you have spent more than 50% of your life in Bhagavad Vishes or pursuing spirituality, thinking about God, then there is a possibility that back-to-back human life, otherwise there's no guarantee. Okay, that is how it is. So 50% of the life means on an average 100 years, right? You can do the rough arithmetic. It typically gives us about 10 years of life in a 100-year lifespan. I can work out the arithmetic for you. Maybe 20, you can say, not more than that. Within that also, that amount of time you have to have spent in spirituality or thinking about it to have a sure shot formula. That also is not guaranteed, by the way. But as a devotee or in the path of devotion, you don't care about it. It's like, okay, God, I'm your responsibility. Okay, I'm your burden. You take care of me, and I'm happy because now I'm kind of your responsibility and your headache going forward. So we don't really think about all these things or even get scared about this fact at all. You simply accept the way it is. Anyways, hopefully now causal subtle bodies are making sense. I'll get into Pralay, which is going to answer the other unanswered question for you, which I'm sure it's still there. Now, before birth, the soul existed with the unmanifest, subtle, and causal bodies. And after that, it still exists in the unmanifest state. So, unmanifest, temporarily manifest, and again unmanifest. It only becomes manifest in the middle. That is what the shloka is saying. So, death is no reason for grief. Somebody who's born has to die. Somebody who dies means shedding the gross body, has to get born. Nobody is going anywhere. Okay, that's the concept. So let's move on. Let's look at some of the pralays now. Okay, what happens during pralays to each one of these bodies? So far we are here. Soul is divine. It has to carry the backpack of subtle body and the causal body, and all of this is material. Soul is the only thing which is divine. Okay, subtle body consists of 18 components. All of that is material. Nothing is divine. Okay. God can make it divine when he gives us an upgrade. But until then, it is material. It is not divine. Now, let's look at the pralays. The first pralay is, there are 4 kinds of pralays which are enumerated in the Vedas. Yeah, I'll come back to your question after we have done that. So let me complete this and then we'll come back to this topic, the questions that you may have. So 4 pralays which are enumerated in our Vedas. So there's a lot of enumeration that is happening in this chapter, as you see. And that enumeration is because it's Sankhya Yuga. Right? It all started with the technical understanding of who we truly are, then all the components and stuff like that. So another enumeration, let's look at the pralays. First one is called the Nitya Pralay. So our life is also a microcosm of what is happening at a macro scale. Right? Like from an atomic particle all the way up to the bigger heavenly planets, there is that rotation and everything is happening. Similarly, if we look at it, like we sleep, Brahmaji also sleeps. So like Brahmaji sleeps, we also sleep. Every night when we fall into a deep sleep, our consciousness goes through dissolution daily. And there are a lot of species, their entire life cycle is finished during that night. So if you go and look at your lampposts and stuff like that, so many insects, they would have laid eggs and lived their life happily or otherwise, and they have vanished as well in one night. It happens at a macro level in the Brahmaji scale. So this is called Nitya Pralay, that we are all subjected to, or we subject ourselves to, right? That consciousness goes through dissolution every day. This is the first kind of Pralay. The second one is called Naimittik Pralay. This happens at the end of Brahmaji's day. We know the length of Brahmaji's day. Kalpa concept, it's pretty huge. It's not like our day. It is one Chaturyug, full Chaturyug. And one Chaturyug is the Kalyug, the Dwapar, Treta, and Satyug combined. Right? So it's a pretty huge number. All the way abodes up to the Maharlok, they dissolute. When Brahmaji goes to sleep, all the material world up to Maharlok, it becomes unmanifest. Not the spiritual lokas. Let's understand that very clearly. Now they remain in the state of suspended animation in the body of Vishnu, waiting for the next cycle of creation. So Brahmaji has gone to sleep and then he wakes up, he's a potter, he starts creating everything again. Now what happens in this state? Let's look at it. Now, next cycle, when Brahmaji creates these lokas, these souls are reborn based on their past karmas. Now, question is still not answered. What has happened to subtle body and causal body, right? So let's look at it now. End of Brahmaji's life, this is now the Mahapralaya aspect of it. This entire universe goes into dissolution, and all the souls of this universe, they again become unmanifest and stay in the body of Mahavishnu. One breath of Mahavishnu is equal to 100 years of Brahmaji. Okay. One breath of, that is a breathtaking breath that Vishnuji takes, by the way. Now, in that state, the sthul body, right, and the subtle body, they dissolve. So only thing that remains is the causal body. And the causal body, we get a new body based on that causal body only. So causal body gives you the subtle body. So it's like the subtle body gets rolled up into causal body at that point. And then when you're reborn, again you get a gross body and your sukshma sharir is given to you as well, because you repeat with the same mind. Okay, so however dirty your mind was, when you got into that state, you repeat with the same mind, or however pure it was, or however cleansed it was. So there is no escape from the mind, because our homework is fixed. We only have to do that homework. God is not going to clean our mind and give it to us when after the dissolution happens. You still repeat with same tendencies, sanskars, propensities, and the spiritual wealth that you have acquired. That is one that Lord Krishna says, I'm going to preserve, which is again his mercy. Okay. So soul, this is the causal body. So now the Karan Sharir, or the causal body, is the only thing that remains at that point in Mahodar of Vishnu. And then there is called an Atyantik Pralay. Okay, this is a Pralay we all need to aspire for. What is this? This is dissolution from the clutches of Maya itself. This is like your done deal now. Soul has finally attained God and is liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Atyantik Pralay is what is a desired state for us, and that is why we are reading Bhagavad Gita and attending the CIC sessions. Okay, so this is going to take us close to the Atyantik Pralay part of it. Hope it makes sense. Let's move on. Now, let's look at it, this cycle that we spoke about. Manifest, we are manifest. This is what we are. We are currently in the manifest state. Causal body, subtle body with our soul. Prior and before, we are unmanifest. Okay, where our soul and causal body as an unmanifest state, and soul and causal body in that state. So this is essentially what the cycle. In between, we get manifested, and before and after we get unmanifest, and this cycle just keeps on repeating. Okay. Now, for how long we are in transition, it could be a second, or it could take years. That's what Lord Krishna is saying, before you get a gross body. And rejecting this gross body, like, because we get upset with life or we complain to God, is not a good idea. Okay, that is one of the key takeaways for me, from this as well. So let's go to our another example. So if you look at a skyscraper, like so many big buildings that we see, it actually manifests from earth, because everything is a derivative of mud. We've spoken about that, right? And when you dismantle it, this again becomes unmanifest. So this is the law of conservation of energy. Things become manifest and unmanifest. So now, just because the building has fallen off because of an earthquake, or it is past its survival date, has it ceased to exist? No, it has not. Even in unmanifest state, things are not lost. It's just like it has become mud again and again, it can manifest again. And that is essentially what's happening with us as well. Soul is unmanifest, and then it keeps on getting body, right? Derivative of mud, as we say. So both in the beginning and end of it, elements, they remain unmanifest, and only in the middle they are manifested. And this cycle is the cycle of creation, whenever we are unleashed by Mahavishnu. So if you look at it, a microcosm or something, a loose analogy around it. So this is our existence. And when we dream, we have people, location, and experiences, right, in our dream state. And when we are awake, we still have people, location, and experiences. Is any of this is real, whether in dream or awake state? Which one is permanent? None, actually. Both follow the cycle of unmanifest, manifest, and unmanifest. Whether you are in a dream state or in the real, people, locations, experiences, everything will, they don't exist, they exist and they cease to exist. When we are asleep, we don't even know who we are. World comes into existence when we wake up, right? So this all things are subject to this cycle. We'll come back. Shirame, you had a question. Let's watch a quick video from Swamiji, and then we can come back and have a bit of a question and answer around this as well. So I'm sure this is a pretty fascinating topic. Are you able to see my screen? Great.
Yes, you can see
Let
it.
me play
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
We are the soul and we have a body. The soul is divine energy and this body is material energy. So these living beings are continuously being created and then they go back. There's a cycle that takes place in nature called Srishti, Sthiti, and Pralay. God creates the world. What happens when He creates? The one primordial energy starts unfolding. That primordial energy is called Prakriti. Its first manifestation is called Mahan. The next manifestation is called Ahankar. After that, the Panchatan Matra manifests, that is taste, touch, sight, smell, the five sense perceptions. Now imagine the sophistication of Vedic philosophy. These are also seen as energies. And then the five gross elements manifest. Space, from space comes air, the gases, then fire, then from that comes water, and from that comes the earth. And from earth, all the living beings, the plants, etc. are born. So that energy unfolds to create the variegatedness of matter. And at that time, the souls that were existing in suspension, in the unmanifest state, in the stomach of God, called the Mahodar, when He creates the world, based on their past karmas, He puts them in a suitable body. So based on what we deserved, we are given the body. And we continue on our journey. Those who get liberated, they are released from the material realm. Those who are not, they just continue here. So we go on cycle of life and death. The soul has three bodies. This is the gross body, consisting of the five gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Then there's a subtle body. This consists of the five knowledge senses, the five working senses, the five life airs: mind, intellect, and ego. And then there is a causal body consisting of our sanskars, karmas of endless lifetimes. So when this gross body becomes dysfunctional, the uninhabitable for the soul, it becomes a wreck. Less like a car becomes a wreck or a house becomes a wreck, you vacate it and go to the next house. So the soul leaves this gross body, but its subtle body and causal body go along with it. So according to the causal body and subtle body, it's given another gross body. It goes into another mother's womb. And then it is born, it continues, then again. So the gross body is changed in every lifetime. But the subtle body is continuing. That is why the mind is not of one lifetime. The mind is continuing from many lifetimes. That is the reason why even a blind person, somebody who is blind from birth, can also see dreams. Because the mind has the images from past lifetimes. So this goes on. Then at the end of creation, God again rewinds the world. Panch Mahabhut merge into the Panchatan Matra. They merge into Ahankar. Ahankar merges into Mahan. Mahan merges into Prakriti. And the subtle Maya goes and resides in God again. So what happens to the souls at that time? They can't have any subtle bodies because the material energy in all forms is unmanifest. So what happens to the subtle body? That is also finished. But the causal body remains. Its sanskars, karmas of endless lifetimes, that remains with the soul. So the souls, the whole creation is unmanifest. The souls, the material energy, all residing in God, awaiting the next cycle. The next cycle, again He manifests it all. So then according to the causal body, the soul is again given a subtle body and a gross body. So this cycle is going on and on and on. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralay. Creation, maintenance, dissolution. Creation, maintenance, dissolution. Everything that is taking place is stemming from God.
All right. Are you back to the screen? You're able to see that. Hopefully, it's able to shed light on this topic, which confuses a lot of people. I can take maybe a couple of questions and then see the one way to beautify or make our subtle and gross body beautiful is to do satsangs. Okay. And we will tell you, we have a presentation coming up from Tejal ji very shortly. Okay, how she'll tell us how you have an opportunity to beautify it and keep on beautifying it pretty much every week. She's going to talk about that. But before that, we can take maybe 2 or 3 questions and then I'll hand it over to her and then for the announcements as well.
We have few chats in the window.
Sure.
Sandhya ji has a question. I guess it's answered now. Are working senses touch, taste, vision, hearing, and smell? If yes, do they also travel with us after death?
Yeah, so the tendency is if you are fond of seeing certain kind of things, then that resides in a subtle form in your mind and it's part of your Sukshma Sharir. So next time when you are born, you will have those tendencies. So wherever we indulge our senses, those sanskars, those imprints are there in our subtle body that we will carry forward. But more austerities you have performed, more you have convinced yourself to to indulge in better things through using your senses, the better off it is because God is going to preserve that as well. So yes, answer is yes.
And Jyotiji is asking, how can a person/soul come out of Pret Yoni?
God only, He knows that, okay, your punishment was 2 years or 20 years or 200 years. I don't have that formula. Good thing is not to even get into Pret Yoni. Why do you want to get into that, right? I mean, if your hobby is to freak out people, then you could aspire for that, but it's not a good place to be honest. So, but I don't know. I mean, I don't have the formula. I don't think anybody talks about that. It's kind of a suspended state. Nobody would like to be in. So,
And Sundarji is asking, which pralay is when we leave this body?
when we leave this body, I don't think
Which
it is
pralay?
called as a pralay at all.
Okay.
You go through a transition. That is not a pralay at all. It might be pralay for us, but for God, it is not a pralay. Okay, not a big deal. Happens all the times, right? It's a self. It's not a pralay basically. Yeah, it's just a shedding of our gross body.
And Dwarka ji is asking, does that means mind is not material?
Mind is material. Of course, it is material. It is material. Mind cannot be divine. If it was divine, it would have gotten attracted towards divine topics just like that. Mind is material.
And Chiraman has a question again. During Mahapralay, is it only material universes that go into Vishnu or
That's right. That's
spiritual
right.
universes also?
Spiritual universes don't. They continue to manifest as they are. It's only the material universes, which is only 1/4 of this creation. 3/4 of it remains, which is spiritual abodes. They don't go into Mahodar of Mahavishnu. At least that's what I understand.
Okay, and now we have Anita ji. Can we take her, Nitin bhai?
Yes, we have a couple of minutes. We can.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Nitin.
Like I have like a sensitive kind of question. Like, does our Hindu religion approves of euthanasia?
Oh, it's a pretty interesting question. I think it's a pretty long debate around that. Yeah, it can become a little controversial around it. If I purely go by Bhagavad Gita concept around it, right? Even euthanasia, for that matter, if you can see, there are two aspects to it. If you look at it, one is what you are supposed to bear. It is inevitable. So you can delay it, but you can't avoid it, right? So if you think of it, somebody has to go through a pain. They have to go through a pain. If you look at it, that principle, but possibly as part of your exit plan, right? Euthanasia could be part of that as well, where you are supposed to rid yourself of that misery. So I don't know if somebody gives an injection, it could be part of the grand plan, right? As part of the prarabdha, or somebody has to bear that. So it's a very debatable topic. I don't have a right answer for that. I think I could ask Swamiji that question. He'll be able to articulate it really well, and it's probably a good SMX question as well.
Okay, thank you, Nitinji.
Yeah. Okay, maybe one more we can take, and then I'll hand it over to Tejalji for the presentation. Two more real quick. Maybe we can take two more. Yes, Dinesh.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, great presentation. Thanks, I enjoyed it. Just wanted to give a tiny note from my side. Brahma's day is 1,000 Chaturyugs, 4.32 billion years, not 4.32 million. So,
yes, 4.3 billion years. That's right.
Yes, yes. Yeah. It's 1,000 Chaturyugs, one day of Brahma.
1,000 that's true. 1,000 Chaturyugs.
Yeah.
Thanks for that minor cosmetic correction. That
yeah, I'm sorry. Everything is perfect.
I know. 1,000 Chaturyugs. Very true.
Yeah, sorry.
And 100 years of Brahma is one breath of Mahavishnu. So I think it was not a rounding off error for sure. A lot of zeros for sure. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Dineshji, we can take probably last question.
Dineshji, please
Yeah,
go ahead.
Radhe. Yeah, I want to know between the Prakriti and Maya and Ahankar, there is a Mahan Tattva. What is Mahan Tattva? What is Mahan?
I don't know. It's a primordial form of energy is called Prakriti, and through Mahan comes, and through Mahan Ahankar comes, Ahan Panchatan Matra come through that. Now, what is Mahan Tattva? Maybe I'll have to do a bit of a research or understand what that is, but this is the hierarchy that is followed when this entire creation unfolds. But we can have a more detailed discussion, what is Mahan Tattva, but I'll have to do a bit of a research. I've never explored that, what is Mahan, other than the fact that this is how the hierarchy comes in. So we can talk about that, Dinesh, in one of the sessions.
Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Sandhya, any announcements you wanted to make, or we can give it to
We have a few charts. Can you take it? Just 2 minutes.
Oh, yes, real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Jyotiji says Nachiketa story has information regarding Pret Yoni and what happens to us after the death of body.
Okay. Yeah, if somebody can make a presentation, I think it will be even nice. I think one of the sessions we can do that. Okay. Maybe around Halloween.
Sam is asking, can Prarabdha be delayed to subsequent lives?
See, God only knows which drop he will pick up, right? We have like so much of Sanchit Karma, like an ocean. So which drop he picks up, only God decides. And it's not that Prarabdha from previous life will be immediately given to us in our next life. Okay, it could come from 50 lives back as well, like it happened in the case of Dhritarashtra. So which drop is getting picked up, only God knows. He has the algorithm for that. Okay, now let's get. I want to
slide again.
Sorry?
Swatiji wants the slide of Pralay again. Pralay slide to be shown again.
Okay, I'll bring it up. Let's give Tejalji the time for presentation, and then time permitting, we can get back to that. And I can show that slide and also the announcements that need to be made, especially around a lot of fun events that are coming up. So I'll over to you, Tejalji. Now.
And then co-host, no?
You'll have to
Yes, Radhe everyone. Radhe Nitinji. What a beautiful session with, my God, what a deep philosophy. I sometimes get really very giddy, especially this topic is really very complicated for me. Uh, maybe I need to learn better from Nitinji now for this topic, but well, I'm given a very, very simple topic as a seva to talk on, which is very, 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 very simple, yet the most important topic actually, and that is the importance of kirtan. So I'm going to take all of you to 2017, wherein this is a picture from 2017 where LTP was done, and I had attended this LTP. Like some of you have attended LTP this year, some of you have just attended in Chicago, some of you will be attending in Bay Area. So the same LTP I had attended it, and guess what? I really had enjoyed it thoroughly. And after that, I had of course attended the retreat. But till the time Swamiji would give the lecture, believe me, I was so much into it. But as soon as the kirtan would start, I was one of the person who would just get distracted, or who would say that why this kirtan has to come. And I don't know if anyone can relate to me, but I'm being very, very honest here that this is what I really felt. Even after retreat, my situation was like this in 2017. And at the end of it, Swamiji actually told me that one of the biggest helper for sadhana is, that's not the only one, but the biggest helper is the kirtan. And he, in fact, not only said this, he actually referred me something, and that's where I read that Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu defines kirtan as singing the names, forms, qualities, pastimes, abodes, associates, and oh, I'm so sorry. Actually speaking, you know what, Nitinji, I haven't shared my screen. Actually, I just forgot that I haven't shared my screen. Actually, okay. All right, so I would just take everyone to 2017, and then Swamiji spoke about the kirtan. This was the slide for that. Then talking about the Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu defines the kirtan, wherein of course the kirtan talks about name, forms, qualities, pastimes, abode, associates of gods, and it involves threefold, as we all know, the process of devotion. So whenever anybody is singing a kirtan, what we are doing is we are listening to kirtan. So we are doing Shravana. Of course, after that, we are repeating. So we are actually chanting the kirtan. And then after that, at the same time, we are doing is we are actually remembering whatever is it, whether it is a leela or whether it is a virtue or whatever it is of the God, we are doing this. So we are actually doing the threefold Trida Bhakti. Okay, we all know about this. Now, Swamiji told all these things, and I listened to all those things, but I wasn't convinced. And what happened is in 2018, when Swamiji came back to Dallas, I asked the same question to him, that Swamiji, why do I need kirtan? Can I just not do meditation? Okay. And Swamiji said, yes, you can do meditation, but our mind gets bored. Like we all try to do meditation. I'm sure Nitinji also does some of the time meditation with us, especially Deviji does meditation with all of us. But how many of us are being able to actually stay in that meditation without getting distracted? Honestly, it does gets better. So Swamiji always told me that mind needs variety. And basically, as we all know, we all need varieties. Like every day we want different clothes, and to an extent Swamiji also talks about that. I'm sure Nitinji remembers that you can if we had an option of putting the nose at the different places, one day we would put it on the forehead, the other day we would put it on the shoulder and all that. He also says the joke of that dream. I wouldn't go into it, but yes, he does that. But so the basic thing is we need variety. So, and initially, when we are starting the journey, initial is a very, very big term. Actually, for some people, for me, it could be even years. For some people, it could be few days also is initial. So everybody has a subjective journey. But initially, when you are in the journey, obviously, we don't get a bliss of God in meditation, right? So kirtan gives us the aro and the avro. So there's a music, there is aro and the avro, and we keep on taking different names, different leelas, different virtues, different qualities. We keep on talking about it. Let's say, suppose this is the kirtan. Matwari pyari chal mero yashoda kolal. जाके लोचन रसाल मेरु यशोदा को लाओ. So when we are actually saying this kirtan, our mind is engaged into it, because otherwise I wouldn't have thought about the Krishna Bhagwan's really those ras bharin, the eyes. I wouldn't have thought about it. But right now when I'm singing, I'm actually thinking that thing actually. So basically, all the things we need to contemplate. As Nitinji I was seeing the slides and where he talks about Manan. So what we need to contemplate are there in the Kirtan. So automatically all these things comes into our mind, and the sentiment comes, because the most important is the sentiment which comes into our mind. With the help of the kirtan, we are being able to do, sadhana. I would not be able to do meditation more than 5 minutes, but we are being able to do sadhana when we sit in the retreat, probably 8 hours. And Swamiji talks about sadhana shivir in India for 12 hours they go on. So we are not a yogi people, but it's an ordinary people who are doing it. It's all because of the kirtan. So what does kirtan do? Kirtan actually, in my house, if let's say before I met Swamiji in 2017, basically what used to happen in my house, I used to chant. Okay, let's say I used to chant my Shashur Mardini. Okay, and I started chanting, and Hitesh would have the call, and he would be in the meeting. And he's my husband, I'm sorry. And I have 2 kids. So my son would start playing the drum, and my daughter would play the YouTube video. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but this does happen in my house. Okay, and then I would say, can you please let me really concentrate what I'm doing? And it does not happen. So, but now I do not have that problem, because when I'm doing kirtan, everybody can make any kind of noise, but it does not matter to me because I'm singing. So, so basically you're blocking all the external noises. I have some people, and most people, can relate to this. Some people saying that I'm not a good singer, but does not matter. We have all technology. So we have CDs, we have MP3s, we have everything. We can make a use of it. So, that's not an option. We can now say this in this world, as thankfully that we have all the option. And some people, at least I can relate to this. Some people are very young here, I think, in this group right now, who cannot relate to this picture. But when I used to go in my villages back when I was really child, this was a very common scenario where people used to sit in the kirtan in the evening. But this does not happen now. But kirtan can be done into congregation. Now we all sit in front of television or some entertainment. Now I don't see it, but it does happen in the houses. So, but this is such a pity, actually. Swamiji always talks about that, we are being able to really spend hours and years reading scripture, technicality of scriptures. We can do everything. But simple kirtan, then even we go to Kundalini Jap also, that also we'll be ready to do it, because that is technically thing, something very hard. We can do that. But kirtan, I mean, we'll say, Swamiji, kirtan, that's what we have to do. And that is what is the whole thing we have to do. And I used to really feel very silly about it. And Swamiji says, yes, it's a very pity that you do not really feel that significance of kirtan is so much. And that is what he always talks about. And yes, one more thing is kirtan. You can actually go to sleep. People who are very big sadhak, they can actually go into yoga nidra while meditating, but I cannot. I can literally fall asleep. But in kirtan, obviously you don't fall asleep. It is so much of energy. You can always keep lethargy away. You can always sing, dance, everything with that. So I wouldn't go again into the benefits of kirtan, but yes, there are all the benefits of the kirtan, which are definitely, I already listed it out. So it's very, very important that we understand the benefits of kirtan. And as Swamiji always talks, now we have to understand that kirtan is the yuga dharma of Kali Yuga. Okay, this is the yuga dharma. He always says this, and he says that is the real business, because this knowledge, whatever we are getting, we cannot really actually contemplate unless we really start relishing those kirtans. So, and of course, lastly, I want to say there are 3 methods. Okay, and we all know what is the favorite one is for Swamiji, and at least what is I like it. But of course, Vyas method, wherein, we are not going to say anything, but it's just we are listening, Shravanam. Then the Narad method, which is wherein the singing instruments and everything is involved, obviously. And third one is the Hanuman method. You can see in the picture, wherein people are dancing. Swamiji is always with us dancing. So every retreat, LTP, any series, what we hear at the end of it is Hanuman Paddhati Kirtan. So that is something which is everybody can sing, dance, and this is the best way to do actually Kirtan. So there is another purpose why I was given this seva. It's because we all know that this is a centenary year of Kripalaji Maharaj, and we are all going to, guess what, we're going to all celebrate in a big time. And we as an online participant also will get to, Nitinji will give all this information to you much more than what I am giving right now. But we are going to get to participate into this by the way of Kirtan. And we will actually be able to make a team wherein we can actually enact in the Kirtan, or we can sing the Kirtan, dance in the Kirtan. Nitinji will definitely give you all the information, but that is one of the reasons that I was given this seva. And last thing which I always leave with this seva is this: what is your favorite Kirtan? And second thing is, today I just want to ask, I don't want to ask, so take Nitinji's time because you have already plans or something, but it's something that I want to ask today to every one of us who is a participant. Do you really attend any weekly satsang in any of the centers of JK Yoga? If you do, then please raise your hand. And I would like to know how many of you all attend. Okay, I can see 8 participants, 9, 10 participants. Okay. All right, 13. Okay, all right. Okay, Nitinji, I hope this helps in any way to any one person also. And it is really important that we all attend the Sunday satsang, and we already have an option of attending online. So every Sunday, CST 10:30, obviously from Radha Krishna Temple, it is live. So you can always attend, even if you don't have any satsang near close by. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe, everyone. Hope it helps anyone.
Thank you, Tejalji, for a wonderful presentation. I hope you understood the significance of Kirtan, right? Like so beautifully articulated by Tejalji. I was also one of those, who did not understand too much of that Kirtan part of it, at least when I started off with. Took me a while. It grows on you. It's just like that sugarcane juice. When you are suffering from jaundice, it tastes bitter. You start taking it, it will not only cure you, but also start revealing the sweetness. Start taking in Kirtans, and these Kirtans are not ordinary. Okay, Rupa Dhyan, if you have to do that, these Kirtans are written by Maharaj Ji. It's like live Leela depiction by a godlike saint. What Radha Krishna are doing. If you understand the gravity of Kirtan, it will give you the goosebumps over a period of time. So do avail this opportunity. If you have a local satsang, please do join. If you don't have one, we have our weekly satsang anyway, right at your door. In the comforts of your home, you can enjoy the weekly satsang from Radha Krishna Temple. Beautiful satsangs, immerse yourself in that, and that will beautify your subtle body and causal body. Okay, that is the biggest game of doing Kirtan. Right? Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given force in Shishtastakam, he said that Trinadapi Sunichen, Tarorapi Saheshnuna, Amanen Manaden, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So the Kirtaniya Sadahari aspect is very, very important. If we have to follow, humility is important, tolerance is important, giving respect and not seeking respect. We can go into that details, but Kirtaniya Sadahari, like it is said, it is a yoga dharma. You can enjoy it every week and inculcate this thing into your daily routine if you have not already, because this is a very, very good way of cleaning our mind, antakaran, and beautifying our inner self. Very, very powerful tool. And thank you again, Tejalji, for walking us through with that in such a nice, sucking, lucid manner. Loved it. I think we have run out of time for our announcements, but Shyamji has been in an override mode to put in all the good links. I'll announce about the centenary celebrations, how we plan to do that, but plan for stuff, get to know about Maharajji, more of it. If you have some ideas, suggestions, kirtans, skits in mind, start thinking about it already, because we are going to make it really interesting and fascinating as we go along. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. With that, I think we pretty much exhausted our time. So let me share my screen real quick. I think Anita ji wanted to see one slide, which I'm going to share for a second. And then we will wrap up the session. These are the 4 plays you wanted to see. So hopefully it gives you a good sneak peek of what you're looking for. Since we had another minute, now it's 10 o'clock sharp and our time ends.
We have a question there. One small question. In Kirtan, people find some songs boring and some interesting. Is it normal?
It's normal. We just have to redefine what is interesting. Okay, let's have that discussion tomorrow. I'll hand it over to Ajay and Sunil Bhai for the next.
Ajay ji and Sunil Bhai. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Shabji. Can you all hear me? Radhe, how? Thank you. If you can forward that to me post, I'm going to start recording.